Welcome to the deep dive. So today we're heading, virtually speaking, to a place that gets called a real cloud paradise. Tà Xùa up in Sơn La, Vietnam.
Yeah, we've got this travel video transcript as our source. It's pretty
Yeah,
detailed.
and our mission today is basically to unpack that. We want to pull out the really key stuff about Tà Xùa, why it's famous for clouds, what it's actually like to visit, and some practical tips.
Exactly. Think of it as your shortcut to getting what Tà Xùa is all about.
Okay, let's dive in. Tà Xùa. It's a high mountain commune, right, in Bac Yên district, Sơn La province.
That's the one. And you immediately see why it gets these names. People call it the cloud paradise or a fairyland, even the most beautiful place in the north. Quite the reputation.
And that makes sense. The altitude is pretty significant, around 1,500 meters above sea level.
Yeah, and that height is really what creates this distinct world of clouds.
So the description is like clouds just covering the mountains, a sea of clouds.
Pretty much. Sometimes you see it peeking through as you drive up the winding roads. It sounds, well, quite poetic, almost romantic.
But importantly, even if you don't look out with the clouds on a particular day, the source says the landscape itself is still, majestic. Classic Tay Bach scenery.
Absolutely. It's not just about the clouds, though they're a huge draw, and it's also about the local culture. You've got ethnic minority communities there, specifically the Hmong people.
Ah, right. Their life is described as sort of simple but colorful, with traditional music mentioned.
Yeah, things like the ken, this is a kind of wind instrument, and their traditional singing, hat. Plus, of course, their very distinctive food, which we should definitely get into.
Okay, so if someone's listening and thinking, right, I want to see this cloud paradise, how do they actually get there?
Well, the main way described is by road. So you're looking at buses, cars, or motorbikes are very popular too.
And from Hanoi, what's the travel time like?
It's mentioned as being around 5 to 5.5 hours.
Yeah.
So a decent drive, but definitely doable.
Okay. There's also a mention of an alternative route, going via Mok Chau.
Yeah, the source suggests that's a convenient path. Maybe if you're already exploring that area or want to combine the two places, seems like a good option.
And once you're actually in Tà Xùa, getting to specific spots, like viewpoints.
Right, local transport seems key there. Motorbike taxis are mentioned quite a bit. They even give a price example like 60,000 VND round trip per person for the dinosaur's backbone.
Which is about, what, $2 or $3 US?
Something like that, yeah. Seems pretty reasonable for getting out to a main attraction like that, which is maybe 13, 15 kilometers away.
Good to know. Let's talk accommodation, because where you stay seems like it could really shape the experience, especially for cloud hunting. May Tà Xùa homestay gets a big mention.
It does. It's noted as being near the center of the commune, which sounds convenient. And it's described as quite large, lots of rooms available.
And different types of rooms too, right? There's a shared
Yeah.
communal house.
Yeah, which sounds great for solo travelers or maybe big groups. And they mentioned it might be a place for, communal activities, maybe a campfire in the evening, that kind of thing.
But they also have private options. Bungalows.
Mm-hmm. And these sound lovely. Described as very cute, cozy, warm, and a key feature seems to be glass fronts.
Ah, to maximize the view, presumably?
Exactly. Making the most of that potential cloud scenery right outside your window.
Hmm.
They're mostly wood, pomu wood is mentioned, giving it a cool, natural, sort of eco-friendly feel.
There is even a mention of some other wooden huts or tents, too.
Yeah, these kuhu forest tents or huts made entirely of wood. So different styles, but all seem focused on that natural vibe.
And the big advantage of staying centrally, like at May Homestay, seems to be
Cloud hunting potential right from where you are. You might be able to see sunrise clouds looking one way, towards Town Cafe apparently, and sunset clouds looking the other way, towards Bac Yên town.
so you don't necessarily have to trek out super early every single time.
Maybe not, which is definitely appealing.
Okay, can't talk about a place without talking food. Tà Xùa's cuisine, it has those distinct Tay Bach flavors, the source says.
Oh yeah, definitely. And several specific dishes really stand out in the account. First up, Len Bun Mun.
Which means various dishes from a local pig.
Exactly. A bun pig, usually a smaller local breed, maybe around 15 kilos. They make a whole range of things from it.
Like what? What examples did they give?
Let's see. Grilled pig leg, steamed pig wrapped in banana leaves, pig steamed with lemongrass and tossed with spices, grilled pig, and this interesting one called choida.
Choido. What's that?
It sounds like pig simmered with banana and tofu. Quite a unique combination.
Wow. And the key is the local spices, right? Hot doi, makin.
Yes. Those really define the flavor. They're forest spices, giving this unique, maybe slightly smoky, citrusy edge. Plus things like black sesame seeds used as dips or accompaniments.
Interesting. And pumpkin was mentioned too, specifically Hmong people's pumpkin.
Yeah, bida, highlighted as a really characteristic local ingredient, particularly for the Hmong community there.
And you can't go to the mountains without kum lam, right? Bamboo tube rice?
Definitely not. The source mentions it comes in different colors too, naturally dyed with leaves, giving you shades of purple sometimes, along with the white.
And the texture is sticky, fragrant, smoky from the bamboo.
Exactly. And it's often served with a special dipping sauce, cham cheo. That sounds delicious, made with those same spices, hot doi, ma cane, or sometimes sesame salt. A must-try.
What else? Was there mention of smoked meat?
Oh yes, tekapot. Smoked or dried meat, usually pork or beef. You see it sold at stalls, apparently very flavorful, and again, often eaten with cham cheo. It's a staple.
Okay, so besides eating, where do people hang out? Any cafes mentioned?
Yeah, a few key ones that also seem to double as good viewpoints. Tau Cafe gets a mention.
That was opposite the May homestay, right? Good for morning clouds.
That's the one. Seems like a convenient spot for sunrise views. Then there's Meat E Cafe.
Where's that?
It's at the Tunjo, which means wind peak. Sounds like a prime location. Very popular for cloud hunting, especially recommended for sunset.
And there's the best season for that one.
Yeah, the source highlights November to February for the most reliable kind of spectacular clowns there. You might see them other times, but it's less frequent or maybe not as dramatic.
Makes sense. And one more. Na Hmong Cafe.
Ah, yes, the Hmong House Cafe. This one sounds really unique because it's actually in an old, traditional Hmong house.
Oh, cool. So repurposed architecture?
Exactly. It's near the center, near the main viewpoint. The inside sounds cozy, authentic, with traditional stuff like corn cobs hanging up.
Nice atmosphere.
And they have an outdoor area with a campfire in the evening. Apparently it opens quite late though, like 9 or 10 p.m., so maybe more for a late-night gathering, listening to music.
Right. Let's get to the main event for many people, exploring the landscape and specifically cloud hunting.
Okay, so we've mentioned the best season, November to February, gives you the highest probability of seeing that incredible sea of clouds.
And the tip about rain?
Yeah, seems counterintuitive, but rain the day before apparently increases the chances of clouds forming the next morning. Good little tip to keep in mind.
But the big caveat is they move fast, right?
Oh yeah, the account really stresses this. Clouds can appear, look amazing, and then just disappear really quickly, so you need to be ready. Timing is everything.
No time for hesitation if you want that perfect shot.
Exactly. Act fast.
Okay, moving beyond just the clouds, what about specific landmarks? Dinosaur's backbone gets mentioned a lot. Sung Ling Long.
Yeah, definitely a must visit according to the source. It's a bit of a drive, maybe 13, 15 kilometers from the center.
And it's basically a narrow ridge with great views.
That's the idea. Offers panoramic views. But there's a warning. The path down to some spots can be really slippery.
Right, so caution needed. And those motorbike taxis probably come in handy again here.
For sure. And from the peak, you get views of terraced fields. Imagine them green or golden. And usually there's a Vietnamese flag marking the viewpoint, a common sight.
What other photo spots? Mom Kai Heo. Dolphin snout.
Yep. Apparently, from afar, it looks like a dolphin's head. Up close, it's actually two big rock slabs, slightly offset. Still sounds dramatic and popular for pictures.
And the lonely tree. Kikoin.
Another classic check-in spot. Though, ironically, despite the name Lonely, it's often crowded.
Ah, figures. And getting there.
Also noted as potentially steep and slippery. Seems to be a theme with some of these natural spots. You need decent footwear, I guess.
Good point. And where is it located?
Near a river, or maybe a hydroelectric dam. And there's this weird little detail the source mentions the tree's sap might make you itchy.
Huh. Random, but maybe good to know. Avoid touching it excessively, then.
Probably wise. Finally, there's Ton Gien, the meadow.
Just a big grassy area.
Pretty much large grassland. There's talk it might be developed more, maybe horse riding in the future, but for now, it's open space.
And a special viewpoint within it.
Yeah, one spot apparently offers a view looking down at a tree near the river or dam that looks strikingly similar to the famous view of the Noko River way up in Haijiang.
Oh, interesting comparison. Again, likely a flag there, too.
You bet. Seems like flags are standard markers at these key viewpoints.
So it's not just about the landscapes. The source also mentions interacting with the local people, the Hmong community.
Yeah, that seems woven into the experience. You're meeting the guides, the people running the homestays you stay at. the vendors selling food.
Right, those everyday encounters.
Mm-hmm. And there's even a mention of meeting friendly H-Hmong kids. It's not a huge focus of the account, but it definitely adds that layer of cultural connection.
And there was a quick note about their origins, too.
Just briefly, yeah. Mentioning roots in China, but a long history across Southeast Asia, Vietnam, Laos, Cambodia, Thailand. Just gives a bit of context to their distinct culture you experience there.
Okay, so let's pull it all together. If you're listening and thinking about a trip, what are the key takeaways, the main practical tips from this account?
All right, number one, if cloud hunting is your main goal, really aim for that November to February window. Best chances then.
Great. And keep an eye on the weather, specifically looking for rain the day before you hope to see clouds.
Definitely. Tip number three, be mentally prepared for how fast those clouds can change. See them. Get your photos. Soak it in, because it might not last.
Good advice. And accommodation.
Staying centrally, like at May Homestay, seemed really beneficial for easy access to different viewpoints and maybe even seeing clouds right from your room.
Okay. And be careful on the trails.
Yes. Places like Dinosaur's Backbone, Lonely Tree, the paths can be slippery.
Oh.
Wear good shoes. Take your time.
And finally,
Don't miss the food. You've got to try the len bun dishes, the kum lam with cham cheo, the thit gak bep. It's a huge part of the experience.
okay, that wraps up our deep dive into this Tà Xùa travel account. It really paints a picture of a place that, lives up to the hype in many ways.
It does. It sounds like this amazing blend of just stunning natural beauty, the clouds, the mountains, but also this unique H-Hmong culture, the food, the music, these specific spots at the Dinosaur's Backbone.
Yeah, it's more than just pretty views. It seems like you get a real sense of place, a glimpse into life in the Tai Buk region.
Absolutely. Which leads to maybe a final thought for you to consider. As these incredible places like Tà Xùa become more popular, as more people seek out these cloud paradises, how do they manage it?
Manage the balance, you mean?
Exactly. How do you balance welcoming visitors, sharing that beauty, with the absolute need to protect the unique natural environment and also preserve the traditional way of life for the local communities living there?
That's a big question. Definitely something to think about.